When a contract is made, it is outlined in detail, the motives and the intentions of what a person's supposed to gain in exchange for what the person's supposed to do or whatever service is expected to be transpired between the two individuals, all the parties that are present. So many of you are doing things in the spiritual realm. You're giving things to people, you're giving them jobs, you're giving them money, you're giving them free government assistance and benefits, and you're giving them things on jobs. You're using these as an exchange for a covenant or a contract to actually be undergone. And you're using these hidden agendas and evil motives that are not explained out in detail. You're not telling the person what they're supposed to give in exchange for what you're giving them. You're not explaining it out in detail what is expected of them. For example, if you give a person a job and you want them to work there a certain period of time and they leave prematurely, you're supposed to explain that in detail in the contract and state that, hey, I give you this job. That means if I give you this job, you're supposed to work for me for such and such time frame. Or if you take this job, I am required to have access to your children or your body or your life or whatever. And many of you who are part of the kingdom of darkness has used underlying illicit and deceptive practices to put people in hidden contracts that they did not even know they were in, as in exchange for you offering them things such as a job or money or positions. And you have used these covenants and evil contracts to trap these people and put them in bondage. And God knows about these contracts. And a lot of times the people don't know about it, but whether they know about it or not, God knows about it. And he's revealed it to his servants. And I'm here to tell you today that those of you who have used these hidden contracts with hidden motives, hidden agendas, and you've used these illicit behaviors and practices to entrap God's people, because you've given them things, you've given them money on jobs, you've given them uniforms, free uniforms, you've given them cars, you've given them benefits such as gift certificates or free food or free medical care, but you've used that as an exchange to take from them, but you did not tell these people up front what was supposed to happen in exchange for them receiving those goods. So you basically put them in an illegal contract. You bound them to something that's null and void. The contract is illegal because the things that you wanted, the benefits and the expectations were not spelled out clearly for the person to understand what it was they were entering into. And so those type of contracts are null and void. They're not honored. They're not honored in God's law. And as you know, even in a court of law, when you have a contract that does not state in detail what it is that a person is supposed to get in exchange for something, those contracts are thrown out. So God is throwing out evil covenants and contracts that the kingdom of darkness has made regarding his people. Many of you have used these contracts to hold on to people's lives, to entrap them, to take from them, to ruin their lives, to keep them in a bondage and poverty, to take their bodies, to take their children, to take their lives from them, to take things that you feel that you're entitled to, but you're not entitled to them because these contracts were illegal. They were illicit, they were underhanded, they were deceptive. And when you engage in deceptive practices, everything is null and void. So I'm here to let you know that your contracts are null and void and you will be punished. Those of you who have wrongfully held on to things that you were not supposed to have, and you've used your treachery and your deception as a means to have these things. And those of you who have been undergoing, who have been the victims of these contracts, today is your day of freedom. Declare your freedom in the name of Jesus. Revoke all evil contracts that you might have entered into unknowingly and ask God to liberate you, and he will.